welcome back to the podcast that must not be named. I am Luke.
I am Melissa.
And we are continuing our trek through Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. We've made it to chapter 22. Man.
Which is my favorite number.
It's your favorite number. It's our other, it's Beer Hog's favorite number as well.
It was mine first.
Well, this chapter is entitled The Unexpected Task. We are, again, live streaming, so if you're catching us on the podcast only, we hope to see you every other Monday when we do our live stream recordings of these podcasts, so we can interact with the chat a little bit. And this chapter is 18 pages long, and that is 2.45% of the book.
In Transfiguration class, Professor McGonagall informs them that the Yule Ball is fast approaching and that the party will be opened with the champions and their dates dancing. Harry realizes that he has to find a date, however turns down advances from several girls. He wants to go with Cho Chang. Only problem is, she's always surrounded by a flock of giggling girls. During Care of Magical Creatures class, Harry learns that Rita Skeeter's interview with Hagrid was just an attempt to get him to spill any beans about Harry. The days creep on and Harry and Ron still haven't gotten any dates, and Ron encourages Harry that they should hurry up or they'll wind up with a pair of trolls, much to Hermione's annoyance. Harry finally plucks up the courage and pulls Cho away from her friends to ask her. Unfortunately, Cedric Diggory had already asked her and she kindly had to turn Harry down. Harry sulks back to the common room where he finds Ron in shock. We find out Ron, in front of a large group, was passing Fleur Delacour and randomly blurted out asking her to be his date to the ball, and she just simply ignored his question. Defeated, the boys sit in the common room racking their brains when Hermione enters and Ron spurts out, "Hey, Hermione, you're a girl, you can come with one of us." Hermione, insulted, snaps back that she already has a date because other people realized she was a girl well before Ron. She refuses to tell them who she's going with, and Ginny does as well, who will be going with Neville. With one last-ditch effort, Harry asks Parvati Patil, who accepts his offer, and she also agrees to try and set Ron up with her twin sister.
Okay, character introductions. We had several mentions. I don't think we met anybody new, but we had some new mentions. We had a singing rock group called the Weird Sisters. Rock out. Totally rad. We had Joey Jenkins of the Chudley Cannons. He was a beater, and he showed up in the Flying with the Cannons book that Ron was rereading. We've seen that book before. I think Harry got it for him for Christmas.
Ron rereading it? I thought Harry was rereading it. It was Harry rereading it.
Harry was rereading it? Good.
Yes, it's Christmas, Hermione. Harry said lazily he was rereading Flying with the Cannons for the 10th time in an armchair near the fire.
Good. Also named in that book was the chaser for the Ballycastle Bats. So unnamed but referred to.
All right. Now that we've met them, we've simply heard about them.
Yeah, I guess we could have put it more as the Ballycastle Bats as a Magicabulary, but either way.
Okay.
Locations, I didn't really see anywhere new in this chapter. We do have some...
Other than the pits of despair because of being embarrassed, but, that was more a metaphorical location.
Right, that was an emotional location. Magicabulary, what did you find here, Melissa?
So we had Transforming Spell and the Cross-Species Switches, the WWN, which is the Wizarding Wireless Network.
Mm-hmm.
And we had finally named the other Patil.
Mm-hmm.
Padma.
Which, I realize this is in the wrong box. This should have been a character introduction, but that's okay,
Good job.
Good. They all get named.
Better you than me.
Yeah, I'm okay with messing up, all the time. So, what I'm not going to mess up is Melissa remembering the chapter illustration again. Awesome.
It's such a huge thing. We've been doing this since book 3, and I think I remembered once.
Oh, you're getting
book 3.
Oh, in book 3, yes. You've been on fire for book 4. You've been doing a really, really good job. So
last minute, but I'm working on it.
Describe what we're seeing here.
It looks like a boy who is smelling something really good and has hair swirled around him, Rapunzel style.
That's a lot what it looks like.
And I see freckles, so I assume Ron.
I think that's fair, and with the color of the pencil drawing, it makes it look like it could definitely be an orangey or light colored hair. The way it's drawn,
shading.
Yeah. So.
And I bet the girl's hair is blonde. So I'm assuming this is the encounter with Fleur.
Mm-hmm. Fleur. Fleur.
Delacour. It's fine.
Fleur Delacour. All right, Melissa, what were some of your thoughts? I see you have a lot written down here.
I do, which is great. So and most of them are just like snarky little one-liners. Number one, sword fighting with trick wands sounds like something I would love to not actually have around me at all, because it would annoy me as the old grown-up that I am. But I enjoy reading about it. Our sons would be all over that.
Oh, yeah. I kind of want to just read the whole thing.
Yeah,
Spoiler
go for
alert,
it.
this was in one of my finalists for favorite line in the chapter. So it goes, the bell was due to ring at any moment, and Harry and Ron, who had been having a sword fight with a couple of Fred and George's fake wands at the back of the class, looked up, Ron holding a tin parrot and Harry a rubber haddock. Now that Potter and Weasley have been kind enough to act their age, said Professor McGonagall, with an angry look at the pair of them, as the head of Harry's haddock drooped and fell silently to the floor. Ron's parrot's beak had severed it moments before. It's just great. I love it. It's so silly.
And the magic wands are awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Like the trick wands, because you never know what you're going to get.
I got a haddock. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I do. Thank you, Dr. Demento, on the
My
20th
name is
anniversary.
Marlin. I'll just leave it at that.
And in walked the biggest haddock you'd ever seen come down the pipe.
Right. I drove a Stingray. That's so good. But yeah, I think the trick wands would be fun. You're not invited. That's fine. You don't want to play. You don't want to play.
They can do that at your house.
Oh yeah.
Excellent.
This is the house.
That's a
for
perfect. This is the house for trick wands. Mine is the house for, I don't know, dumping toys. It's something like that. Moving on. Let's talk about Harry getting a dance partner.
Yeah, he's real excited about that idea, right? He's like, no, I'm probably not going to do that. That's not really for me. McGonagall's like, oh, you're going to do it. You have a responsibility. You get your butt out there and you find that freaking partner.
And he's like, I am not dancing. That's a quote. I'm not dancing.
Right.
She's like, but you are. And that's going to take care of the dancing.
And then
because that's what you do.
And right before that, it's really funny that, like, when she first tells the whole class, it was like, she says, the Yule Ball is, of course, a chance for all of us to let our hair down, she said in a disapproving voice. Professor McGonagall, with her hair in a tight bun, looked as though she had never let her hair down in any sense. It's so perfect because she's so stern, and the fact that she's the one that has to have this conversation is perfect.
You don't understand how much she is my spirit animal in that moment, because that is me. I mean, maybe not so much. Yeah, like maybe not so much in like our relationship as brother sister, but as a mom and as a teacher. That is the mom and the teacher, especially teacher. That is the teacher that I am. Like, we don't do fun. We don't. What is this letting our hair down? No, we're here to work, and because I know what happens when you kids let your hair down. Yeah. See, yeah, I love her because you have to do it. You have to let them do it. But it's like going on a field trip. Okay, listen, we're gonna have fun, but it's gonna be controlled. And it's going to be structured. We're going to have
plans. We're going to follow those. We're going to have so much fun. That sounds terrible, Melissa.
I know. This is why I didn't like field trips at all. And this is why I'm a much better instructional coach than I am classroom teacher. Although I was an okay classroom teacher. Like, I sound terrible at me, but...
This is one of the fundamental differences between you and I, is the hyper structure as opposed to... I like to have structure that provides wiggle room. I like to... plan to improvise, which I know we've credited, kind of coined that for Harry in general.
Yes.
So I think that's where I feel about it. I like to have things scheduled, but you know what? You got to be flexible. Flexibility.
I just plan.
Sounds so
There's
boring.
A plan. It's not boring. It's structured and organized and works very well for people who do not handle a change of schedule very well.
Yeah, it sure sounds boring. Anyway.
We're not friends for 5 minutes.
Okay, well, tell me about your next note then. Well, we're not. I'll just let you talk.
Oh, speaking of being mean and evil, because we're not friends for 5 minutes, this works really well.
We set a timer.
Okay. So Hagrid's talking about his interview with Rita, right? And it's the whole, like, it's almost like she wanted me to say something bad about you. And he doesn't, because Hagrid is, captain of the Harry Potter cheerleading squad or something like that. But let's just take a moment and imagine Rita Skeeter interviewing Severus Snape on the topic of Harry Potter. She wouldn't need a quick quotes quill. She could just verbatim whatever he says.
Oh, yeah. He's gonna mess up.
What did they say in the book? Potter has been crossing lines ever since he first arrived at this school. Why was Potter not here? Why? I mean, every time it's always like what Potter's doing wrong, for breathing.
Oh, he definitely put his name in there because he's been stepping across lines ever since he got here.
Man, Rita would eat that up. So, hey, speaking of last chapter, maybe that's why Rita's not allowed in the school, because she is not allowed to cross paths with Severus Snape. And Dumbledore knows this.
Yeah.
Headcanon.
That'd be ugly. Ooh,
it's a little rough.
Snape is the worst.
I knew you were gonna say that. Okay, we can be done being not friends.
Oh, what
else you got?
We've still got 3 minutes and 33 seconds of not being friends. But let's talk about other people that are not going to be friends. Harry and Cedric a bit. They go through the whole Harry pushing girls away, and he kind of has the whole mental barrage of he thinks back to what Hermione said about Krum and they only like him because he's famous, and he feels the same thing on some of these. And at one point he gets kind of like, man, maybe I should have just taken advantage of that and said yes to the first girl and just be done with this and get rid of the stress, because then it's just taken care of. Really should have just not hesitated. Why, Melissa?
Because he who hesitates is lost.
That's exactly right. Yes. And guess who?
Super win for me there.
And guess who lost? Harry did, because
not Captain Wittershanks, but yes, you're right, Harry.
That's right. And stay away from glass handles, because they might explode and kill you.
Yes.
Yeah. But he really should have just asked Cho right away. He's been pining over since last year. I mean,
yes.
Just do it. Pull up your boots, grab your belt, walk up there, and just get it done. Just do it.
Get her done.
Just get her done. And he doesn't, but Cedric does. And what do you think of that?
Okay, so Harry totally misses out, and I get it. And it makes for a good plot for the other Hogwarts champion to ask the one girl Harry has any sort of attraction to.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, I get it. But I'm going to do a bit of a reality check. Is it reasonable for the most popular 7th year in the whole school? He's Hogwarts champion, right? He's good looking. He's tall. He's a Quidditch hero. He's the real champion in some people's eyes. Is it realistic to expect that he would ask out a 5th year?
Why not?
I don't know.
Have you seen the trolls in 7th year?
Okay. Point made.
I mean, I think there's a couple things that, to me, give it credibility. Okay, so one thing that Cedric is fairly passionate about that we know is Quidditch, right? She is a very, very skilled Quidditch player, and they play the same position, so they would go head to head. And
she's the only girl who plays Seeker
that we know of. I mean, pretty confident Slytherin. Well, yep, you're right.
It's Malfoy.
Yep. Well, again,
it's kind of girly, but
you've seen a Harry Potter musical, so it's questionable.
Did somebody say Draco Malfoy? I'm going to pig farts.
Pig farts with rumble roar. But,
on the moon or something like that.
Yeah, no, it is. And so she would very much be in his purview, right? I mean, he would be very familiar with who she is and know that she's very skilled. We were very impressed with her skills against Harry. I would assume that Cedric would have seen her play and fly very well, and I don't think Harry's got bad eyes. And so when he says, how pretty she is, she's probably legitimately pretty good looking, pretty attractive. And so Cedric would notice that as well, and then get to know her. And to me, narratively, plot-wise, pretty convenient that, you have to have some animosity between the champions, but it really fits better than it might seem like.
Okay, that makes me feel better. Once you brought up the Quidditch connection, I was like, okay, I can buy in now.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't usually bother me, but this time through, it just bothered me a bit. And it was like,
Right. Yeah, and I hadn't thought about it
with you.
too much. And then I was like, well, I mean, this is like one of like the few people he would actually have interacted with like in a competitive way, and he's very much, it seems like our first time we met him was in book 3, like the time that he beat Harry, right? And
yes.
His dedication to good sportsmanship, I think very much fits in line with like respecting her as a player, and so I think it fits pretty nicely, actually.
All right. I want to jump off the boys and girls like you and me thing that's been going on, you know, the whole lovey-dovey, we gotta get a date thing, which is, I mean, we can go back. I'm not done. But I'm going to talk about school, because that's what I do.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And
when our timer is up, we can start being friends again. We're good.
Anyway.
We'll check in later.
I'll think about it. I'll put it on my list. Way at the bottom. So Flitwick was like, I can't, you're all nuts. Just take the class off, right? And it kind of said that a lot of the teachers were letting him do that. You know, that a lot of the teachers were, let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, some of the teachers Flitwick, right? Yeah.
Here we go. Some of the teachers, like little Professor Flitwick, did they have to throw the little in there? I'm just saying. I mean, it's not like he's round-faced or forgetful, but come on, we get it. He's little. Gave up trying to teach them much when their minds were so clearly elsewhere, right? So he let them play games. Said some of the teachers did this. It, however, specifically listed 4 teachers that are not. So is it just Flitwick who's letting them? Is he some? Flitwick and maybe Hagrid and Trelawney? Who else? Sprout. Okay, forgot about Sprout.
I would say that could be a pretty easy. They're only doing manual labor anyway, and we'll give them a day off.
I mean, and then the astronomy teacher.
Well, that's at night anyway.
That is?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, it felt like it was, they're letting them play. And this person, and Binns, who doesn't even let death stand in the way, and Snape, who's going to throw a test, and everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when your kid comes home from school and says, everybody is doing this. Everybody? The whole class? Well, it was like 2 people. And they're like, okay, you're right. That's everybody.
That's like everyone I know believes this. It's like, well, are you just looking at Facebook? Because they're literally just trying to show you exactly what it's gonna keep you there. So
exactly.
I liked the quick reference to Ron building a card castle out of exploding snap cards, which that just seems like a lot of fun, doesn't it? Like, I like building card houses and card castles, and it's just like, man, there's a chance that it could explode. Like, that's just awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And I don't think we really had much of a description of what exploding snap was before this. I mean, we got gobstones, which clearly sounds a little bit like marbles of some sort. We didn't really have much of a description as to what exploding snap was, but I like that they're like playing cards.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Like more wizarding games.
And it's, not just chess.
Right. So this does play into Ron's gamer side of things, so that's good.
Oh man, he'd totally be a gamer if he was a muggle, wouldn't he?
Oh yeah, for sure. He'd still be playing Fortnite.
Speaking of Ron, can we talk about him being a little superficial?
Yes.
Like, what, you're just going to take the best looking girl who will have you? Yeah, pretty much. And part of me wants to be really annoyed by that, and part of me is like, 14-year-old boy. Yep, that sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
Can confirm.
That's really all I had on that one.
Yeah, and I think Hermione's frustration with it is very much,
also appropriate. Oh, and then Fred asking Angelina. I love that moment.
Oh yeah, that's a great interaction that they have there. Oi, Angelina.
Yeah.
You want to go to the ball with me? She looks him up and down. Yeah, all right. That's what it takes, Harry. Just go ask.
Confidence.
99% of the shots you don't take. So.
Thanks, Glenn. Who's George going to go with?
Oh, it's a good question. So it's kind of weird, like, because as we know, I've really tried to focus on the differences between the twins this whole read through, and Fred's usually the instigator, like kind of usually the one that starts things, and so it's a little odd to me that he's the one that doesn't have the date yet. Like, to me, it seems more like he would have just done it ahead of time and like it'd just be done, and that it's done, and that's what it is. And then maybe this would have been a George thing to be like, hey, let's just do it right now. Like, I don't know, it just seems a little bit flipped on me, but does that mean George doesn't have one set up?
Or does he already? And
that's what I'm saying.
Fred just assumed that Angelina would go with him and never bothered to ask.
Right. So maybe he's going with Alicia or
Katie.
Or Katie Bell.
Or another girl who does exist.
There are so many unnamed older students, I assume.
Right.
They really lacks on like the older kids that would be in the common room. Like, they're there, not just the twins that show up in Percy.
Right.
Like, before.
Well, and honestly, we haven't even seen Percy. Oh no, he's graduated. That's right.
He's gone. He's gone.
I'm okay. It's late.
You're doing good, girl. It's like with Abby. You're doing fine. You're doing great.
She does better than me. It's all right. All right. Did you know that they did have a standby for Harry just in case he couldn't come up with another date? Moaning Myrtle.
Oh yeah. The classic standby.
She'd go with him anywhere.
That actually would be probably a pretty exciting, like a pretty cool thing for him to do, right? Show up with a ghost as your date. It'd be a real pain for him, but that'd be a pretty cool move.
You could literally get out of dancing.
Yeah.
I'm not dancing. And Harry is not that combative or
disturber of the peace.
Yeah, he's not going to do that, but that would be a really interesting take on it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to think of what my other ones were here. Okay. Ron asks Fleur.
Yes.
Big fan of this.
That's a good scene.
Like, and I think the funniest part about it for me, to be honest, is just Ginny sitting there like patting him oddly on the back. Like, it's okay. It's okay. Just what'd he do? He asked out Fleur. Oh.
I asked her to go with me just now. Oh no, it's before that. Right. Why did I do it? He said wildly. I don't know what made me do it. What? Said Harry. He just asked Fleur Delacour to go to the ball with him, said Ginny. She looked as though she was fighting back a smile, but kept patting Ron's arm sympathetically. You what? I don't know what made me do it. Ron gasped again. What was I playing at? There were people all around. I've gone mad. Everyone watching. I was just walking past her in the entrance hall. She was standing there talking to Diggory, and it sort of came over me, and I asked her. Oh man, it's so funny. And is it really just the movie that was like, yeah, he actually just kind of shouted at her.
Yeah, that was the movie.
Yeah, but still, like it. Yeah, it's so good. He's just so like looks like he wants to throw up.
Yeah, I like that he's like, she didn't even answer. And then I just came to my senses and ran for it.
Right.
Oh, poor Ron. You do gotta feel bad for the guy in that moment.
He sure did try. I mean, he put the effort in. He did it.
They said they were going to get dates, and they both
swung for the fences.
Yeah, but that's okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's you gotta miss. You gotta miss. It's good. It's good character building.
There we go. How come Pavarti didn't already have a date?
You think she was holding out for Harry, knowing that he hadn't gotten one?
Well, maybe because early in the chapter, really early, when they were talking about the Yule Ball, so it says, McGonagall is talking, the Yule Ball is approaching, a traditional part of the Triwizard Tournament and an opportunity for us to socialize with our foreign guests. Now, the ball will be open only to 4th years and above, although you may invite a younger student if you wish. Lavender Brown let out a shrill giggle. Vardy Patel nudged her hard in the ribs, her face working furiously as she, too, fought not to giggle. They both looked around at Harry. I mean, that's really interesting.
He's a pretty big catch, and they know him somewhat, so, like, they would know that they're in his circle, at least. I mean, even if they're not really close friends, they're at least, in their estimation, not Hermione, so that gives them a leg up, in their opinions.
Girls.
Because, I mean, and it's kind of reasonable, because, like, if Harry was gonna go with Hermione, like, they probably would have already been dating, like, at this point. Like, they spend so much time together, it's like, is this really the thing that's gonna push him over to being a thing? So, they feel pretty confident that there's nothing between Harry and Hermione, is my estimation.
Yeah.
So then you look at the other girls in Gryffindor of the same year, which, like, due to the rule of proximity, is kind of just them.
Like, as far as we know.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would think they feel pretty decent about their chances.
All right. I'll give you that.
But Lavender didn't wait, right?
Nope. Because she's going with Seamus because he asked.
Mm-hmm. You just gotta ask.
All right. I have one final thought on this chapter.
Okay.
It's a school thought.
Okay.
I always feel like I have to warn you that I'm going to, like, teacher it a bit. Just a little bit.
Warning. School thought.
Warning. Teacher time. Harry screwed up his potions test because he was, he forgot to add the Bezoar to his antidote, and so he messed up, and who cares? It literally doesn't matter because he's already exempt from end of the year exams. Nothing he does in school matters this year at all.
I don't know if I disagree. I don't know if I agree with that.
But you don't disagree either.
I don't know if I disagree either.
I know.
Because it just says he's exempt from end of school exams.
Which you have to have the best.
Which should only be a portion of the grade. There are still grades for the entire school year. The final is probably just 20% of the overall grade, and he just doesn't have to take it because of everything else going on in his life.
Maybe he'll need to now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Bring that grade up.
Maybe he gets to opt in if he needs the points.
Right, can I get some extra credit?
Well, take the final.
Yeah.
But, so it's not like, oh, you just get an A for the class.
Right.
You just don't take the final exam.
Okay, all right.
One last thought I had on when Harry is like, finally gets his nerve up to go and ask Cho, he's like, I'm just gonna go do it. And he's like, okay. She's literally surrounded by girls all the time. Maybe I'll just catch her as she goes into the bathroom. Nope. Surrounded by girls still. And when he finally goes up to talk to her, and he's like, hey, you know, Cho, can we talk? And they all know what it's about, you know, because I'm sure that's all they've been talking about. And Harry's thought that they should make giggling illegal, I think is just hilarious. He just, you know, it's just not good for anybody involved.
That's funny.
Got anything else on this chapter?
Nope, I'm ready for some questions.
All right, Melissa, what are your 5 burning questions?
That was excessive. Okay. Question 1. There was a bunch of girls asking Harry to the ball. Were the girls asking Harry because he was champion or because he's the boy who lived?
I'm going to go with champion. And the girls that did ask him were all younger, too. So, like, there's also, like, the age relativity that, well, younger in general. Like, there was the 5th year, I know. But my point was, it was in his relative younger bracket of the students that would be able to go. So I feel like it's probably more champion than anything, but it should have been more because of the boy who lived stuff, in my opinion. But I think it's also, they know you're gonna get to be kind of in the opening stuff or whatever, and kind of on a pedestal. You kind of get a little bit more gusto if you're with one of the 4 champions.
Okay, I think so too. I think it's a champion thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Question 2. Aren't the children at Hogwarts a bit young for 800 barrels of mulled mead?
I think so. And that was one of those, like, Harry heard a bunch of rumors and this probably wasn't true, but like,
right.
That's 1, a lot of mead. That's a lot. And 2, like, that's pretty strong stuff. It's not like, oh, you can go have an ale, you know, just like, oh, you know, at younger ages for drinking in Europe. I'm very aware of that, but like, still, it's a little excessive.
A bit. Maybe a couple barrels. Maybe.
Yeah, for Hagrid. That he's going to share with the underage kids anyway. Because that's the Hagrid we all know.
That's what Hagrids do.
That's what Hagrids do.
Oh, okay. Question 3. Hermione and the egg. It's an either-or question.
Okay.
Is she being too much of a nag, or is she the only one with her priorities straight?
I see that there's a typo in there, too.
I'm fixing it.
I don't know if she's being too much of a bag, but...
That's what happens when I take notes on my phone.
Yeah, it's inconsistent. I agree. I think she's being too much of a nag. Like, stop butting in. You're being book 1 Hermione again. Like, just let it go. Let him make his choices and live with them. And it's fundamentally not against the rules that we know anyway. So
okay, I think she's not wrong. I mean, I think she just doesn't people well. So when she says things, it comes off badly. And I'm not saying that he should not worry about anything ever and focus solely on the egg for the rest of his life. I get it. But I do think, like, somebody has to remind him that the egg is not something you can just put off.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking about it differently, of more like when he opened it up in front of everybody last chapter. I was thinking more like the getting help on it potentially, as opposed to he needs to spend some time on it. I agree with that. So I apologize for mis-answering your question, but yeah, no, I think she's being fine, because guess what? It's not that far away. It's you gotta start focusing on it at least a little bit here and there. You can't just ignore it and put it off.
No, it's important, and I was right.
Yeah, you were.
It doesn't happen very often with you, so I'm excited.
Oh, you're right all the time. Don't worry.
Usually when we're right together, though, it's very rare that I'm right and we disagree. I know how this works. I think I was
right on both. I just misinterpreted the question.
This is why. Right there. It's the spin. Question 4. Could Harry have ambushed Cho as she was going into the bathroom? And why does Cho require an escort of 4 or 5 girls to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, I think he could have, because that is literally what it says. He was like, maybe I can just ambush her as she goes to the bathroom.
That's a great way to get a date, really. Yeah. Not creepy at all.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you busy? Like, it's also really awkward to like ambush her on the way out, because it's like, were you waiting for me? That's even weirder, I think, as opposed to like, oh hey, like real quick, like I'm just seeing you. Like if you had to choose, ambush on the way in as opposed to on the way out,
or stand around the corner and peek, and then when she's coming out of the bathroom, purposely like walk down the hall. Oh, I just was crossing here.
It's still fundamentally the same thing as literally waiting for her. I get it. There's definitely a distinction.
Because it's all about perception. It's a
perception thing, I know.
Of waiting versus running into.
Yeah, I think he could have. He was very surprised that, wow, okay, she's surrounded by people, like, literally everywhere that she's available in public. And I want to turn the second half of that question on you. Why does Cho require an escort of 4 or 5 girls to go into the bathroom?
Well, now, I don't want you to paint an inaccurate picture. It's not like she's
Cho.
some princess and she's got this like contingent of ladies in waiting who surround her as she's walking. You know what I mean? She's not like in a pram that they're carrying down the hall. She's just with her group of friends who she's with all the time.
Let me rephrase the question. Why do
we don't have friends who are girls?
Why do girls have to require an escort of 4 or 5 girls every time?
Because other girls are the only people who will listen to us talk that much. You boys tune out.
Yeah. What?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, sorry. Were you talking to the girls in the bathroom on your couch?
I'm not on my couch.
The couch in the girls' bathroom. There's always a couch in the girls' bathroom.
How many girls' bathrooms have you been in?
It's an ongoing joke with like all little boys, because they're like, wow, what are they gonna do? They're going to sit on the couch? Come on. Yeah. What else is there to do in the bathroom? It's not a public event.
You obviously haven't been in the girls' bathroom. It is a public event.
Shouldn't be. Anyway.
There's conversations happening all the time. Okay.
Oh.
Question 5. Would Cho have chosen Harry over Cedric if Harry had asked first?
Yes. I think so. The way she was legitimately, it seemed like, disappointed. I think so. And every time he's interacted with her, it's been very 2 ways of interest, and whether or not he's picking up on those, because he's usually too embarrassed to actually let it play out. Us, the knowledgeable reader, I think we've been seeing that since they first played last year at Quidditch against each other. I mean, yes, she was marking him as a tactic, but I think there was a little bit of flirting going on during that match as well. Subtle.
That might have been happening during her match with Hufflepuff too, though.
It could have. Maybe that's part of her tactics. I don't know. But
whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
All's fair.
But like, even when he saw her at the Quidditch World Cup, or like the feast back at school,
that's
there's
true.
been a lot of interactions where she's always smiled at him. And yeah, that's, people smile at people all the time, but like the fact that,
and when he like freaked out about the being made the champion, and was being mean to him, and he like yelled, and it was her, and she was like,
yeah, I'm off to go have a cry about my dead parents.
And she didn't get upset. She was just like, oh, like just
you dropped your thing.
Right.
Yeah, so I think she's legitimately interested in him, not necessarily the celebrity that he is.
I agree.
And that's why I think she's legitimately kind of disappointed that he didn't ask her ahead of time.
Okay.
Not that she's sad that she has Cedric either. That's a pretty solid catch for sure.
Yeah, no, not bad. He's okay.
He's fine. You're doing fine, Ced.
Holding his own.
All right, let's touch on our chapter superlatives. Melissa, what was your favorite line?
I have a favorite and a runner-up. So
okay.
We'll start with a runner-up. Now he suddenly realized that Cedric was in fact a useless pretty boy who didn't have enough brains to fill an egg cup. I really liked that.
Yeah, this is when...
Jealous.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? I had just started to actually think he's fine, but you know what? Now he's a jerk face. He's a total jerk butt. I don't like him.
Dumb and pretty boy.
It's pretty strong emotional response there, Harry.
But very, very reasonable and like expected and normal, and just it's moments like that when Harry is just a normal kid going through a normal hormonal like reactions. You know, those gut reactions, it's not logical. It's just an emotion happening and taking over. I love moments like that. Mm-hmm. That's what makes these characters so real, because they're allowed to have that.
Right. They're very real within their age groups for like all of these characters too. And even when they're interacting with other characters of different age groups, the differences show up very quickly. Like even just in this chapter, the way Fred was like, okay, hey, Angelina, like, date? Sure. Like, it was just very much more a mature response to it than what the two boys are attempting very, very unsuccessfully.
Oh, man. They got a lot to learn. Yeah. All right. So my actual favorite line. This is all about the suits of armor that had been bewitched to sing Christmas carols.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite something to hear "O Come All Ye Faithful" sung by an empty helmet that only knew half the words. Several times, Filch the caretaker had to extract Peeves from inside the armor, where he had taken to hiding, filling in the gaps in the songs with lyrics of his own invention, all of which were very rude. Yay, Peeves!
That's a pretty good Peeves moment.
It's an excellent Peeves moment. First of all, because that's exactly something our brothers and we would do. Like, take a Christmas song that would have missing words and fill it in.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I relate to that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
This is
core.
A better...
Core us.
It is. Sing everything. Yeah. Nope. I'm in. And it's Peeves because no one else can pull that off.
Maybe the twins.
Okay. No one else besides those three could pull it off who are currently at school.
Yes.
Okay.
Fair.
How about you? Do you have a favorite line?
I had
options.
I had 4. I mentioned the one earlier about Fred and George's fake wands and Harry and Ron having to grow up. I thought that was a pretty fun one. One of my runners-up is, why do they have to move in packs? Harry asked Ron as a dozen or so girls walked past them, sniggering and staring at Harry. How are you supposed to get one of them on their own to ask them? Lasso one? Ron suggested. It's just great. I mean, it's...
Oh, that would have been one of mine, but I noticed you had it too. I'm like, okay, good. I'm glad somebody's saying it.
This chapter had a bunch of really, really good lines. And there were some, I was surprised. There were a couple that I thought for sure you were going to pick as well, specifically with like Hermione being like, yeah, I'm a girl. Like those. Like,
I know.
There were some good ones, but well.
I'm so glad you noticed.
Right. My next runner-up, Ron, can we borrow Pigwidgeon? George asked. No, he's off delivering a letter, said Ron. Why? Because George wants to invite him to the ball, said Fred sarcastically. So maybe George is holding out to go with Pig. He's going with Pigwidgeon.
Or maybe he's desperate just like the other boys.
Yeah, maybe. I just thought that was a really... Like, that one caught me off guard. I was like, I do not remember this line. Oh, why do you want to borrow my owl? Oh, because George wants to ask him to the ball. That's just silly.
That's funny.
My actual favorite line is, Harry, we've just got to grit our teeth and do it, said Ron on Friday morning in a tone that suggested they were planning the storming of an impregnable fortress. Oh, man. There are so many really well-described things that these boys very unsuccessfully try to do. And it's so natural, like the reactions and responses that they're going through. It's a very painful chapter at times, but that's because it's so good.
And honest.
Yes. Yep. It's very uncomfortable, I think is the way it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Socially uncomfortable. So, who was your chapter MVP?
I think it's interesting who I picked because we haven't really talked a whole lot about this person, but I'm going to go with Ginny.
Mm-hmm.
because I really, even though she wasn't in it a lot, first of all, let's just be excited she's doing anything at all. Yes. I always like a good Ginny sighting, especially when it's not Ginny, like when it's not book 2 Ginny, which no judgment. I get it.
Yep.
She had a thing.
Yeah. Possession is a thing.
Right. Also a Harry obsession. So like, it's just nice when she gets to be a person in the room.
Yes.
Doing a very sisterly thing. But it's not because of the sisterly moment that I picked it. It's really like she's being sisterly in a way that is killing her on the inside to not laugh about this. Like, I love the humor that is just lurking underneath her skin. She's trying to be a good sister, be a good family member, but she is trying so hard not to giggle at Ron. And then once the boys find out that she's going with Neville, she gets them back in the best way possible because she tells Hermione, oh, shut up laughing, you two, because they've both just been turned down by the girls they asked to the ball, said Ginny.
Thanks, Ginny.
That shut them both up.
Yeah, that's literally what it says. That shut the boys up.
Yep. So she gets my MVP because in like 2 lines, she owns them.
Oh, yeah.
In the best little sister way possible.
Oh, yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I actually had a tough time with this chapter picking an honorable mention. And I'm going to stick with what I have written down here. It wasn't, as usual, questionable at times, but Ron's gung-ho nature of, like that one I just referenced, the Friday morning, we just have to grit our teeth and do it. And yes, it's silly, and yes, it's funny, but like he also goes for gold, right? And he goes up and talks to a girl that he literally can't speak in front of. He can't function in front of, and he still tries, and it's clearly a totally embarrassing debacle, but he tried, and I think he
good on him.
Put enough pressure on Harry to actually get him to just do it too. So good friend day for Ron there.
Okay.
Definitely another honorable mention to Hermione too, I think, as almost usual.
Yes. In general, she is the voice of reason.
Yes.
And I think that wraps us up for this particular episode. Please find us on social media. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Not Named Podcast. You can email us your digital owls and questions and rebuttals to any of our thoughts at notnamedpodcast@gmail.com. You can find this show and all of our shows at our website, thepodcastthat.com, where you can go to our support us page and click our Patreon link. Go ahead and join our Patreon account. It is an excellent chance for you to get our unrestricted sections and other content from this show and all of our shows.
Subscribe, like, rate, and leave comments on iTunes. That really does help other people find our show very well. We are starting our live stream recordings here on YouTube as well, so hello again to the chat. Thank you for joining us and playing with us this whole time. It makes it very fun, and seeing you guys live react to some of the things that we are nonsensical about is always fun. So check us out on YouTube and leave us comments there as well. Listen to the Not Named podcast on Radio Public. It's free, easy to use, and helps listeners like you find and support shows like ours. When you listen to our show on Radio Public's Android or iOS app, everyone benefits.
Join us next time when we discuss chapter number 23.
The Yule Ball. Stay imaginary.
Thanks.